Every morning, I wake to the same symphony of the absurd. Roman legionnaires argue with punk rockers on the street corner, while a lady in Victorian garb navigates around an electric scooter. Ancient aqueducts feed gleaming skyscrapers that pierce the sky. Life for me. My morning ritual begins with a deep groan from the copper pipes in the wall, a sound as ancient as the aqueducts themselves, squeakily followed by the soft hum of my electric toaster, perched precariously next to my grandmother's hand-cranked coffee grinder. This blend, this temporal smorgasbord, life, it's all I've ever known. Yesterday at my local cafe, a tourist in a powdered wig asked for the librairie. I had to clarify if she meant the library or the library for political freedom. Accent changes meaning here. It was the sheer tedium of having to clarify such a fundamental concept for the 1000th time. Every day is a linguistic minefield. Sits. Exhausting. But amidst this everyday chaos, something else began to stir. Something far less explainable, quieter at first. It started subtly, like a faint whisper, just out of earshot. Or rather, it was like the loudest scream I could not quite hear. A paradox that burrowed into my skull. I'd be working, and there it would be a high-pitched whine. Almost imperceptible, I'd tell myself it was stress, the building settling. Logical explanations. Then, one Tuesday, in the shower, the warm water a momentary escape. I closed my eyes, and it happened. Death almost screamed. It was louder now, closer right there. My eyes snapped open, scanning the empty stall, and then a tiny twinkle. A flash of light I could not quite see clearly, gone in half a second. But not before a prickle. A strange tingle spread across the very top of my head. I stood there, shivering despite the hot water, trying to tell myself it was just condensation. That was undeniable. Something had happened, lingering hum in my ears. I told myself it was stress. Ghosts, ha! No time for that, bah. But the tingle, ... It kept coming back, and the whispers, they lingered, even when I was trying to sleep. The weeks that followed blurred into increasing dread. The whispers became insistent, a constant white noise. The twinkles, like glitches in my bah. My attempts at rationalization grew weaker. I started checking locks, drawing curtains, trying to keep out an invisible intruder. Then, one evening, in the kitchen, meticulously dicing vegetables. The knife was sharp, and then I heard it, a woman's scream. Clear. Sharp. So close, it felt like she was standing right behind me. I spun around, heart hammering. Nothing but the world seemed to shimmer, edges blurring for a split second, like a bad film. A sharp pain lanced through my mind, a physical agony that made me gasp, dropping the knife. It felt like something was being torn, internally. After that, the events came with a terrifying cadence. Whispers turned into indistinct voices. Twinkles became brighter flashes, almost blinding. The blurred lines were a constant threat. I was trapped in a waking nightmare. The culmination was the migraines, crippling, debilitating, an 11/10 tension headache. Like my skull was being systematically crushed from the inside out. I couldn't focus, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My mind was crumbling. One morning, I lay in bed, calling in sick from a migraine. Then, A beam of light, sharp, unnatural, cutting through the darkness. A pulse reminded me of a broken LCD TV, cold and sterile. A wave of dread washed over me. With immense effort, I forced myself to the window. My hand trembled. And there it was, in the sky, a hole. Not a cloud, a gaping void. A tear in reality itself. Nothing behind it. Just. An emptiness so profound it defied comprehension. Scatter, and along with it, these screams. They were back. Deafening. A torrent of anguish that felt like it would tear my head apart. My eyes fixated on the growing abyss. It was expanding, swallowing the very air, the very buildings. Horrified, I tried to scream, but my throat was frozen. The hole in the sky was a gaping maw, consuming everything. I stumbled back from the window, adrenaline flooding through me. I had to run, had to escape, screaming for help. A raw, primal sound. I burst out of my house apartment onto the street. But it was empty, utterly, unnervingly empty. The entire world gone. Dust me and the void, gaining on me. I ran, like my life depended on it, faster than I'd ever run before. Lungs burning, legs pumping, desperate to outrun the impossible. And just as I reached my top speed, it hit the head. A blinding, crushing pressure, an 11 out of 10 agony that seized me mid-stride. My vision went white, then black. It swallowed me. The void consumed me completely. Suddenly, miraculously, the headache ceased. The pain vanished. And what followed was a waterfall of memories. Everything. I remembered my name, Javier Ruiz, from Rota, Spain. My true life, my true past. I lived in that apartment, a real apartment here in Rota, Spain, in the present day, with my wife, my beautiful. We were newlyweds. And then ... that night, a drunk sailor, he stumbled into our home. There was a scuffle, a flash of cold, and I was ... stabbed. He ran away. The criminal was eventually found and suffered the full wrath of justice. But I was gone. Or so I thought, but I wasn't gone. Not truly our love. It was our love, so strong, so profound. It simply ... refused to let me go. It kept me tethered to our reality. My love for her, it wouldn't let me go. It held me here, a ghost in her world, creating a delusion for my own consciousness. The horror set, the crushing, unbearable guilt. My showers, they weren't just my routine. They translated directly into her reality. Water inexplicably turning on, juiced pipes groaning, cold water filling her sink, scaring her half to death. When I tried to make coffee, her coffee maker would spontaneously hum, or mugs would rattle, sending her screaming. My pacing manifested as objects falling from shelves, small, inexplicable crashes. And those faint whispers I heard, they were echoes of her torment. My own actions, my spectral presence became her poltergeist. Her demon. I had tormented her for weeks. My love had driven her to this. Overwhelmed, I walked slowly through our apartment. Every corner, every object, a memory, a fresh, agonizing wound. Each a silent accusation. I walked into our old room, our sanctuary, and there she was, lying on our bed. Stillness, An empty bottle of wine, scattered pills. In her hand, clutched tightly, a note, 2 words, simple, stark, profound, and devastating. No more